I remember there were times when I was working from home and the breaker drills were just unbearable. Having awful storage was stressing us out, but having no space to socialise properly or even eat dinner in a civilised way was actually bringing us down. I stepped on a nail at one stage and electrocuted myself on a plug socket. It was really stressful, to say the least. When you do anything for the first time, it's likely you'll come across a whole host of surprises or end up making some silly mistakes. You end up kind of wishing that you could do a Marty McFly and go back in time and change around how the events unfolded. And renovations aren't to be underestimated for their complexity and disruption. Everything from your mental headspace, your finances, your confidence and your relationships get a really big shake-up. So it's pretty much inevitable that you'll have some regrets at one stage or another, and in this video I want to chat to you about the things I wish someone told me before we started renovating so that you can go into your renovation a little bit wiser. The first thing that we wish we knew is just how important it is to firm up your layout plans as early as possible. Without an awful lot of thought, we brought an architect on board to understand what we could do with our house, both from a structural and an interior layout point of view. But we realised after instructing our chosen architects that their experience was actually structural changes and not necessarily the interior layouts. So it was going to be up to us or an interior designer to establish what our needs were for the interior spaces and to make sure that there was cohesion with our furniture, electrics and plumbing plans. And we really wish that we knew this before, because it would have saved so much money in hiring the wrong trades and back and forth. We'd have saved so much time. At the time, we didn't know whether we wanted an extension or not. We wanted to either extend or knock down a wall to create an open plan kitchen diner layout. And for an extension, you need to have an architect on board, but for a one wall knock through, it's a bit overkill to get an architect involved. So my advice to you as a renovator is get clarity on what you want to achieve in your home and as a layout as early as possible, and explore your feasibility and your budgets. Explore all your layout options that are available inside the property and calculate the costs associated with them. And it can be really helpful to ask yourself questions like, what if I don't do that extension? How could we use the space we currently have? What if we kept that kitchen fairly small? How could we optimise it so that it has amazing storage and worktop space? And also don't be afraid to just work with the space that you have. We chose a more modest renovation, knocking down a wall instead of building a massive extension, which saved us a huge amount of money. And looking back, that was the right choice for us. The next thing that we wish we knew was just how challenging it would be living in the property whilst renovating it. When we got the keys to this house, our plan was to move all of our belongings in, and remember, we were moving from a one-bedroom flat, so we didn't have much in terms of possessions. And we planned to store everything in one room and in the loft and then renovate around those areas. And at the time we couldn't have done it any differently because we didn't have the budget to rent or live elsewhere whilst work was happening. But looking back, it was really stressful, to say the least. Having nowhere to sit and chill, having boxes up to your ears and zero dust-free space to cook and clean, it was really tough. At one stage there were nails protruding from the floorboards. You had to really watch where you stepped. There were never-ending layers of dust. You tried to clean night after night so you can chill in a clean house, but it was futile. Tools were everywhere you looked. Instagram really does make our work look glamorous, but I assure you it is not glamorous when you're in the middle of it. I remember there were times when I was working from home and the breaker drills were just unbearable. It was pretty dangerous as well. I stepped on a nail at one stage and I electrocuted myself on a plug socket. Neil gave himself tinnitus too, using a Kango drill to open up one of our chimney breasts. You might be in the position where you can live off-site and check in regularly to communicate with trades, but if you can't do this and you're planning to live on-site, as we did, you can adopt some strategies to help you deal with the upheaval. I would suggest decorating at least one room to a good standard so it's livable. We chose to begin renovating the living room and the smaller guest bedroom so that we could get some good sleep and get dressed and relax in comfort. And locking off these rooms with zippable door covers really helped us to remain sane while work happened elsewhere. Some renovators in our community choose to renovate their bathrooms first for comfort. And I think this is a personal preference, but I tend to recommend starting with less technical rooms as your first project. Bathrooms are really hard to get right, and they don't give you prolonged sanity like other areas can in the house. You're only really in them for a short time each day. I'd also suggest using a room that's low on your priority list as a storage room, as we did. For example, if you have a bedroom, a boot room or a dining room that's not going to be renovated or isn't really needed anytime soon, it's perfect for storage. So our master bedroom served as a large storage room for 2 years before we managed to get the funds to renovate it. And we stacked cardboard boxes filled with our possessions after the move in there, and it really protected lots of our possessions from getting moved around and damaged by the renovations. If you have a usable loft, one of the first jobs we recommend renovators do is to lay insulation and a loft floor if there isn't one there already. Neil suited up in a hazmat and got to work laying something called loft zone, which took him about 2 days to lay and was quite straightforward to use. It provided us so much more space to store items safely and out of the way. Another tip is investing in protective gear early on. Get plenty of health and safety gear, so protective earplugs for the noise, hard hats, a sturdy pair of boots. I felt so devastated for Neil when he permanently damaged his hearing using a breaker drill. He was wearing earplugs at the time, but they just weren't up to scratch, so definitely invest in good, strong kits. Next up, what we wish we knew was just how costly things are and how slow it is to the finish line because of this. I spoke about this topic briefly in my video the other day, and I mentioned how common it is for renovators to overestimate what they can achieve with their budget, especially when they first take on a renovation. We have a robust process in place for clients and students to establish how much their renovation costs are going to be, adding contingency. But when we first began in renovations, it became very clear very quickly that what seemed like a really big budget actually wasn't when it came down to construction costs and interior design and the costs to actually finish the property. And to illustrate what I mean, let's say you'll be renovating a non-technical room like a bedroom, and you want to transform it from before, so a dated, unloved space that needs all new electrics, new flooring, new furnishings, to after, so new window dressing, new lamps, rugs, lighting and soft furnishings. To achieve this, it takes much more investment than you might be budgeting for right now. And what we've seen is that it's common for renovators to budget for construction work and contingency to get them over that line, but then run out of money completely on those fundamental pieces that really makes the house feel like a home and feel finished. And let me tell you, those curtains and rugs and cushions and mirrors and lamps, they don't come cheap and really add up, even if you're quite a savvy spender like I am. So my advice to you on this would be to budget for those finishes from the start. When you're itemising your construction costs, don't just stop there. List the changes that are needed for the room to feel finished and budget for those items. Don't just stop at the flooring and furniture if you know that you really want to create that wow impact. And I have to say as well that this outlook isn't for everyone. Some of you might not care for cushions and rugs, and that's okay. Your job is to understand where to prioritise your money so that you feel happy in your home. And if you know the design details make you happy, budget for those early on to prevent any disappointment later. Finally, we really wish we knew just how much renovating would change our outlook on our lives. If you've seen mine and Neil's work around before, then you'll know that we're big advocates of how your home has the power to increase yours and your family's well-being. We spend so much of our lives inside our homes, and the environment that we build for ourselves can really have a direct impact into our mood and our experience of the everyday. Before we renovated this 1930s house, we lived in a tiny, mouldy flat, and I don't think we ever really truly were conscious of the fact that having awful storage was stressing us out and left us feeling really disorganised. Or that living in a dark basement flat was actually bringing down our mood by about 10% every day. It was really unnoticeable at the time, but having no space to socialise properly or even eat dinner in a civilised way was actually bringing us down. But since renovating this house, investing in our storage solutions, enhancing the layout so that we can host and cook meals calmly and confidently, we are so much happier. We're more organised, and we wake up every day feeling calmer and actually want to keep our home clean and tidy. We feel focused and productive in our lovely, inspiring office, and it's just brought so much motivation to our lives. Plus, we get to invite our friends around and our family and feel really proud to host instead of feeling quite embarrassed. We really wish we knew this before, because had we have known, it would have just motivated us in those times where we were just looking around and it was dust and rubble. Had we have known what an impact it would have had, it would have helped carry us through those really dark times. You have a huge project ahead of you, and that will at times really test you. But if you take the time to give the right level of upfront planning, I promise you that you'll be feeling much more confident about transforming your home and eliminating those unknowns, getting all of your ducks in a row. If you want to take the guesswork out of your renovation, then you can join our free Renovating email series. Or if you want to give your project the best chance of success, then join our renovation online course and community. I've popped all the links in the description box below. I hope this video has helped you, and we'll talk soon. Bye!